Hello, doctors. Welcome to the Circadian Podcast. This is Dr. Nikhil. Today, we are going to talk about finance. In this podcast, we explore multiple things related to healthcare like finance, marketing, HR, PR, business strategies, and everything. So, today we have Mr. Tejas, one of my very closest enemy and friend, and company secretary, finance expert, and lawyer. He will be talking about multiple things related to the healthcare finance today. Let's welcome Tejas Wag. Hi Tejas.
Hi, Nikhil. Namaste.
Namaste. Good. Oh, enough of your praising. So let's start with the main topic. Tejas, can you tell me what is the difference between finance, accounting, and economics maybe?
Great. So, just to start with, just to understand our viewers first, finance has implication across sectors, right? It starts from somebody who is a vendor, like a vegetable vendor, right, to NASA and space economics and ISRO. Everybody uses finance in their own terms. So, what actually this finance is a question which I address a lot in my first interaction with a lot of my with people with whom I interact a lot. So, in core terms, finance is nothing but a receipt of payments and expenses. We call it as godaberis of what comes in, what goes out. Is in core terms what this finance is all about. People misunderstand finance with taxation, finance with accounting, but finance is a completely different domain for which accounting and taxation are implications of it. So when I say so, for an example, today I carry $100 with me when I step out of my house. This 100 rupees which I carry is how do I spend this 100 rupees during the day's time is what a financial planning means. Where do I spend, how much I spend on traveling, how much I spend on other stuff during the day course is what finance is all about. Post spending it, what we record is called accounting. Post accounting, whatever we are liable to pay to the government is called taxation. So finance is basically management or self-discipline of the funds which you have, in terms of the funds which are coming into your pocket and the funds which are going out of your pocket.
So in short, finance is all about how you strategize the spending money, and accounting is just a calculation of how you spend the money and how much tax you owe to the government and all those technical Excel sheet to work. But the finance is more than that, where you strategize how you acquire finance, how you strategize to spend that money so that you get more profits and all those things. So now here comes the thing. So can you tell me the difference between the profit and ebitda and revenue and all this?
Firstly, to go towards profit, first we need to understand what are our sales. What is the income which we have. So if you see how a P&L is structured or how profit and loss is structured, on the top of the head it is receipts. That is the money which you get into your pocket. What are the sources of this money coming into your pocket? One is equity, which is a partnership money or capital contribution in your business. So let's suppose you start your business with let's suppose 1 lakh rupee of capital or 1 crore rupees of capital. That is one way of getting that money into your bank account or into your pocket. The second way of receiving this money is in the form of loan or debt. What is loan or debt? It is basically a finance given to you by a lender, a banker, an NBFC, or by whatever source you call. A friend gives you $1,000 is again a loan given to you. He might not be an owner in your business, but he has helped you for an interest or a goodwill or whatever it is. That is debt. Equity, debt, and the third which comes is the receipt from the customers which comes in. So let's suppose you get every day you have a practice where every day you get 5 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees as income from your customers or your clients or your patients. So these are the three ways in which money comes into the business primarily. Okay. Now just to segregate it, equity is something which is a capital contribution in your business which need not be repaid back. It stays in your business till perpetuity. Let's suppose you started this office. During the preliminary setup of this office, what you have done is you have contributed few bucks towards setting up of this office, towards marketing, purchasing these fancy equipments,
Mhm.
purchasing all this infrastructure is what is towards your capital contribution.
Mhm.
At the same time, you also thought of, okay, I should be having a buffer of 2 months of salary, 3 months of salary for initial few employees.
Mhm.
So when I think of a clinical setup,
Mhm.
your capital contribution, your investment in the business starts from the if you are taking a clinic or a space on lease.
Mhm.
So it starts from the deposit element of it to the brokerage fees which you are paying to the broker, your interior cost, your equipment cost, your AC, fridge, and anything which is required to start that business and keep that business alive for certain period of time is what I call as initial capital.
Okay.
Now, this initial capital has to be thought very deeply by every entrepreneur. Now, when I'm addressing medical fraternity, I see towards them as entrepreneurs. So, if you're an entrepreneur by instinct, you should be calculating each and every element of these expenses or investment which will be required to set up this ecosystem of clinic. So I suggest all my clients that at least you keep a runway of 3 months in terms of your salaries, your marketing expense, your rent, deposit, every sort of utility bills. What does normally a layman kind of entrepreneur thinks about is, I need this much money to set up the clinic. But that might not be true in true sense. Because it is a wheel which if it is half burnt, or it is a cake if it is half burnt, it is of no use to anybody. The cake has to be fully baked so that somebody can eat that cake. So if you come with short capital and you don't envisage that you would require something for marketing, you would require something for finance, or you would require something for HR, then that is where a lot of entrepreneurs get stuck for their initial capital contribution. So there is a huge layout by which there is a brainstorming exercise which we do, where we see as to what all streams of expenses are required to come to that level of starting up a clinic and maintaining that clinic. Then comes something we call as working capital. So this capital is your initial capital. Then comes a working capital. What is working capital? Let's suppose you have to pay your rents on time, you have to pay your salaries on time, you have to pay your utility bills on time. The time difference between getting that money and payment to these vendors or these ecosystem players or stakeholders is the working capital gap which every business creates. So just giving an example, let's suppose you started your clinic on 1st of any month. The interior designer would take 3 months of time to just set up that clinic. Now this 3 months of time which goes through a rent, where your marketing effort starts. This 3 months of time is a gestation period for which you should also think in your capital contribution. That also goes towards your capital contribution. Then comes the second leg of it. As to once the business starts rolling, what is the kind of capital requirement you have? Then after the business starts running, you have something called working capital requirement. Now there are different legs for working capital. You will like to have your pharmacy, there is vendor payments to your pharmacy, there are employees which you need to pay, there are agencies which you need to pay. And these ecosystem players or these stakeholders will come with a prepayment kind of a schedule. So for example, your pharmacy guy who is loading stock in your pharmacy will take payment within 30 days. But the pharmacy might not get exhausted in 30 days.
True.
It might get exhausted in 5-6 months. This leg of 5-6 months where your money is stuck but it is rolling, it is not like your interior cost, is kind of, we in finance term call it as working capital. So for a money man who thinks about money, these are two different heads. Something which is stuck in your business, but something which is stuck in your business, and something which is rolling in your business. So these are two different capital contributions which you will have to see. Then comes the third leg of receipt of money in any business, which is through your sales. Now sales is a very tricky part. We discussed this very briefly during our previous interactions, but what sales means is the actual amount of money which you can take home is your sales. I suggest all the clients of mine to differentiate between sales and advances.
Okay.
The classic example which we spoke lately was, let's suppose somebody gives you $20,000 for a surgery, a procedure, and this 20,000 bucks, the person doesn't avail this 20,000 bucks in first go. He just avails two procedures, and two procedures are pending for next 3 months. The entrepreneur, I would suggest, should recognize only 10,000 bucks for which he has given that services towards that 20,000 bucks. And that is how the true recognition of your sales comes out. If you tell me this month I have done a top line or a revenue of 20,000 bucks for a procedure, accounting wise, you might say that 20,000 is received to you, but that balance 10,000 which is there is actually payable for you.
So if I get 20,000 bucks in this month,
Correct.
which includes 4 sessions,
Yeah.
so the 2 sessions will happen in this month.
Yeah.
Right, so I should not calculate to 20,000 in this month's revenue because that particular user has availed only the service for 2 sessions, which is a 10,000 bucks, and I have spent my working capital on those 2 sessions only. Right, in next 2 months, in next month, if he or she avails remaining 2 sessions, then at that point of time my revenue will be 20,000 or remaining 10,000.
Now, when we talk about sales, let us also talk about unit economics. What happens with unit economics is, let's suppose I come to a clinic and pay 20,000 bucks in our classic example.
Okay.
Out of which I avail only 2 sessions. So 10,000 is my revenue this month.
Correct.
Out of that 10,000, there is something called rent recovery which I have done from that. So what is rent recovery? Let's suppose the rent of my premises is 1 lakh rupees. Or 90,000 bucks. To be for a simpler calculation, it is 90,000 bucks. Now, out of that 90,000 bucks, my daily spend towards this infrastructure is 3,000 bucks.
Okay.
If my clinic is working for 20 days or 25 days, it might proportionally change. But on a 30-day cycle, it is 3,000 bucks.
Okay.
Now, in a day, let's suppose I cater to 5 procedures. Or 6 procedures. Then every procedure has consumed 500 rupees of rent cost towards this 10,000 bucks. So if that person is again coming for 2 sessions, 300 into 2, that is 600 bucks has been aligned towards your rent cost. Now you have certain procedures which you do on your instruments, your machines.
Provided if 6 procedures are happening in a day,
Correct.
If only 3 procedures happening in a day, then it is 1,000 rupees.
1,000 rupees. Correct. So that is how every month your unit economics changes. And this is where a lot of entrepreneurs fail to understand what is my unit recovery rate of every surgery or every procedure. Now let's suppose I used to
just to think that can we automate this? That can we get any kind of a dashboard that this is what my this month's unit economics is? We can.
And that is where the medical fraternity is right now moving towards. Right now, a lot of clinics, a lot of chains are moving towards data-driven decisions. So they are looking at how can every procedure be counted and profitability of every procedure can be mapped. So classic wise, let's suppose for getting a lead and getting it converted, let's suppose your marketing guy says that the cost per lead which you have, which is converted, is 1,000 bucks, let's suppose. So out of this 5,000 bucks, out of this 20,000, this 1,000 rupees is gone towards acquiring that lead. 600 rupees is gone towards your rent recovery. If you have certain equipments, certain cost is aligned to that equipment. Certain amount is aligned to your infrastructure cost, which is your interior, your blah blah things which you have. And that is how you come at a unit economics of profitability. So what do entrepreneurs or medical fraternity people think about is 10,000 rupees which I have got as my income. I will like them to see from a very different perspective. I will like them to see from a unit economics point of view. So in manufacturing setups, it is very clear. The more you utilize your machines, the more profitability you get. Okay. In medical fraternity, once this mindset starts clicking in, okay, as to how much I am recovering my rent, how much I am recovering my machinery cost, the dynamics will change towards looking at finances.
Here 2 questions comes in my mind. So usually when I meet clients, most of the big doctors are like, the first question is, there is Dr. XYZ who's been practicing for a say that's 25 years, who is a very big name as a freelance surgeon. Suddenly he decides to start his own setup,
Okay.
right? And builds a big setup and start working in that setup. And in a month or 2 or 3 months, his setup is suddenly profitable. But I say that it's not profitable at all. If you look at that Dr. XYZ's income, being a freelance surgeon,
Correct.
now he's working in his own hospital,
Correct.
where he's doing his own surgeries which he was doing
Correct.
as a freelancer surgeon. So he is allotting that amount of business to his own setup and considering it as a profit, which cannot be. Right? Now, one more thing what I have seen is these doctors who've been working more experienced for 25-30 years and starts hospital, what they think is, I am not going to cater to non-affording class of patients. I need niche class of patients. I need patients for maybe a robotic surgery, where normal X surgery doing laparoscopically it will cost 2.5 lakh rupees to a patient, but to do it with a robotic it might cost 5 lakh, 6 lakh rupees. So he wants only these because he doesn't understand this thing, this unit economics. Because either you play quality game, right, where you have premium patients with you, which is somewhat possible, which I think in domains like plastic surgery and domains like dermatology, where you are running only a single center at hyper metro cities like Delhi and Mumbai. But you cannot do this in the domains like maybe cancer, in a domain like GI, in a domain like urology, right, where unit economics plays a very major role. Because in dermatology you have investment, but it's not that much. In the dermatology, you can have Chinese laser machines and then also deliver a service, right? But in other domains, you cannot have a second grade machines and deliver a good service, right? So they don't understand this unit economics. At same time, they want cream patients, higher economic strata patients. At the same time, they want to be a profitable. They don't understand this unit economics, that the more they churn the patient around their setup, the more their unit economics will go down. To continue your example, with 6 patients, I need 500 rupees. I need to allocate 500 rupees to my rent cost, right? With 10 patients or 12 patients, I might need only 250 rupees. With 15 patients, I might need lesser money. Right? With this thing, if I manage my service, if I manage my employees, and if I manage my in OPD and in clinic service, I might cater to the bigger number of patients and bring down the unit economics, right? But the patients tend to, so doctors are like, everybody needs a cream patient.
So Nikhil, this is a classic case which I've seen with a lot of doctors, where everybody wants high-end surgical equipments with them. The kind of healthy debate which I normally tend to have with all the doctors is, machine is something which is introduced for better efficiency, better time management, and better results. Okay, doctors look at machines only for better results, but machines should be utilized to a greater extent to extract the cost which you are paying towards that machine.
True.
For example, you have a robotic machine. One is towards a greater quality of it. But the purpose of having a machine is also that you do more and more surgeries through it, so that you recover the cost of that machine.
True.
Which doctors, as you rightly said, कि they want a high-end patient, and that is why they would say, मेरा machine ideal रहेगा तो भी चलेगा. But इसके नीचे I won't invest my time. So the first leg of question which you have asked is something which we call in finance term as opportunity cost. Okay, when somebody starts a clinic or starts his own hospital, he doesn't count an opportunity cost which he is investing in the business.
True.
For example, before starting up his own setup, he was getting a paycheck of, let's suppose, 10 lakh rupees a month. If he starts charging the same amount of money every month to his own setup, okay, he won't be in profits for maybe some time, or his profit might get delayed. But that is how actually a finance guy will look at it.
Okay.
Because utilizing a doctor who is what 10 lakh rupees a month and not paying him every day check, every month's check is not how actual profitability would come out.
True.
Okay.
So doctors should, if I am a big surgeon and I'm starting my own setup, and if I was earning, let's say, 20 lakh rupees per month before starting my own setup, I should take out 20 lakh rupees out of this business and then calculate my profitability.
Yes. Or since it is your baby, you might have a leverage to say, I will not take out that money, but calculate and account for it. Okay. If you actually start accounting for it, then you will understand that okay, my worth is not getting recovered, and that is where the frustration point kicks in. After a few months or years, I was earning something else before starting up this venture, and after this, I'm not earning that much. Why? Because you are not calculating towards it. Now, let's suppose a doctor who says my opportunity cost was this much. How quickly can I reach to recovery of that opportunity cost? Once a doctor starts thinking in this fashion, okay, he will start looking at finances very differently. Then that first initial revenue won't make any sense for him. Because he knows that he is accounting for that opportunity cost and that is itself not getting recovered. So, while calculating the initial capital, we also suggest that you take out your personal expenses. You take out what is your minimum lifestyle maintenance fees which you would like to have and build that in your initial capital. So let's suppose a doctor was earning 20 lakh rupees before starting a venture and his lifestyle demands 5 lakh rupees every month. Okay. What we normally do is we say, okay, for first 6 months, 5 into 6, that is 30 lakh rupees, you keep aside as initial contribution towards your business so that you can pay yourself 5 lakh rupees every month. That is also your initial capital in the business.
Okay.
Now, what I have seen is with doctors, they don't want to leave this 20 lakh rupees of low hanging fruits which they have. They will like to start something on their own and they think that once this setup gets to this 20 lakh limit, I will quit and I will come here. But this is practically not possible. Because if this was so, everybody would have done a second venture. So, the ideal way of doing this is, which I have found very balanced approach is, the person should think an year before he wants to start his own setup, that okay, if 1 year down the line I have to start, I will have to keep this 5 lakh rupees aside, so that 1 year down the line I will like to have this 5 lakh rupees as my salary. A salary given to my own self. So this is the opportunity cost which a lot of doctors lack to calculate while starting their venture. Now, the second leg of question which you were asking is the robotic part or the machine part. Firstly, it should be very well be defined and understood that machine is there just to optimize your efficiency. And if you are not utilizing that machine very well, then the interest cost towards that machine will start mounting out. And let's suppose you have a robotic machine for 10 crore rupees. And if you are not doing enough recovery of that machine, okay, after some time, after 2 years, 3 years, the cost of that machine has actually mounted to around 15 crores. From 10 crores, it has jumped to 15 crores. Now, this additional 5 crores again, you have to recover in next 6 years. Because your first 3-4 years are gone. Now, then hitting a panic button and saying, okay, now this 15 crores has to be recovered in next 5-6 years is difficult. So, while taking any decision in terms of finance, you should be well prepared for the recovery of that amount. Just to again reiterate the same example, let's suppose you purchase a machine worth 10 crores. Initially, you say, I want premium clients, I will just do surgeries which are to this optimum level only. And you don't do enough amount of surgeries to recover that unit economic cost. What happens after 2-3 years is, this 10 crores grows and it gets to around 15 crores after 3-4 years. Now that doctor has a pressure of recovering 15 crores. But 3 years have gone out of that 10 years of efficient use of that machine. So then he starts putting that panic button down. Okay, within 7 years, remaining 7 years, I want to recover balance 5 crores or 10 crores. And that is where the decision goes wrong.
Okay.
So there are mathematics, there are Excel sheets, there are mediums device to calculate as to how much that machine should be recovering every year, every month, every quarter. And if on that quarterly basis, if it is not getting recovered, there itself you should start the recovery of it. Okay. So you can change your marketing strategies, you can change your pricing strategies, you can change n number of things for the recovery of that. But pressing that panic button after 2 years, 3 years is actually time lost from your side. So yeah, so this is very important where a lot of doctors fails to understand this.
So on this note, we'll close this podcast. Thank you, Tejas, for visiting Circadian. So stay tuned for these kind of enriching podcast. Here, our only aim is to educate all the doctors in which we are not at all educated, like finance, HR, and marketing. Stay tuned and watch our videos, and do share with your own community and own friends. Thank you.